Hi folks. Sorry, I know this isn't my usual lighting. I'm sorry if this above halo of light is very annoying. I wanted to do a very quick public service announcement to the parents out there. I wanted to address one particular product, and then I also wanted to basically say that if the second half will be devoted to why I'm giving up my PSP or PS Vita, excuse me, not PSP. You'll have to forgive my little faux pas. It's been a long day today. Uh, and why it would be smarter if Junior or the little miss wants a PS Vita, why it would be smart to wait. Let's get to the basic public service announcement first. If you're giving a Wii U this Christmas, Nintendo wants you to open and update it yourself first. This is from a tweet from Nintendo of America. Giving hashtag Wii U as a gift. Pro tip. Perform system update before wrapping so it's good to go as soon as it's opened. Obviously, nothing I have to say or have said on my previous channel about the Wii U as it stands versus the Wii U as it can be is going to phase anybody. You've already no doubt bought the Wii U, and good for you. I'm not going to say otherwise. You know, obviously this is going to be the biggest system since the Wii was, and it's going to continue to steamroll the competition. But again, just to make sure everything on Christmas Day goes smoothly, because those who do not heed this warning will be put into a queue and have to deal with slow download speeds from the massive updating on Christmas Day. I can guarantee you this, because I used to work in retail. I know how people generally tend to operate, and I'm not trying, repeat, not trying to insult all of you out there. It's just when it comes to these hardware issues, these little hiccups, and thankfully right now the update is a little hiccup. It might take an hour at most, but you'll get through it. As long as you get through that, then the machine should work as advertised and more so, especially if you have kiddos in the house who have a Wii collection that they might want to play on the Wii U, which it can as long as you update. So that's my main public service announcements. Now I'm going to get to the more mean-spirited part of my video today. As a secondary public service announcement, I want to warn against the PS Vita. It's not likely that most kids out there really want a PS Vita right now. Sure, there's a Call of Duty game, although it's not highly recommended, but I'm not even going to get into that. After promising that there would be no drought of top-tier AAA titles for the PS Vita, developers are not willing to touch this with a 10-foot pole, and probably the most anticipated game of 2013 at this particular time isn't the Killzone game that, quite frankly, was probably scheduled to come out for this holiday season, but a little game by Media Molecule, who is owned by Sony after all, called Tearaway, which does look like a very good game. The hardware itself is solid. It's got good functioning controls. It's got a front and back touchscreen. It's got a beautiful OLED display, very bright, very vivid, very crisp, very good. It's very sound for those of you who have kids who are into graphics and graphics only. It really doesn't have much for software right now. I really, really wanted to like the PS Vita. I really did. I gave Sony the benefit of the doubt. Part of why I'm warning people against this isn't just because I'm going to then probably tomorrow or after the holidays, trade this in. I paid $300 for this and I'm going to get about 60 of it back in in-store credit. Now, considering a lot of what I'm saving up for at GameStop, that's actually better than I expected. I digress. The thing is, $300 for a Wi-Fi only unit, $350 for a Wi-Fi plus 3G unit, which needs an AT&T pay-as-you-go plan at the very least, in order for your child to have 3G, which means having internet anywhere and everywhere, because you know that's exactly what your child needs with a system like this. It has no major built-in memory. You have to buy a memory stick. Not just any memory stick, a proprietary, much-needed memory stick. And unlike their PS3 sitting in your living room, no doubt, you can only have one, I repeat, one account per stick. There are 4 gig sticks, which honestly I have tried. They do not last very long. Aside from the OS taking up much of the card space, there's a lot of apps out there, but there's also downloadable games, notably PSP games, PS1 games, and I believe I'd heard rumblings of PS2 games eventually coming to the Vita, but no PS3 at this time, though the system is, to be honest with you, actually capable. Sony will, however, be forced eventually to drop the price of this unit or face having it fail worse than their PSP, or as those of us in the gaming community knew of the PSP, though I was fond of it, as the system nobody wanted. A lot of people want this, but there's no software. The rounded edges, the way that the thumbsticks are situated, as well as the back screen, do cause problems. I often have pain in my hand because the system, as rounded as it is, does tend to dig in. If your child has big hands like me, they'll oftentimes find it resting on the back touchscreen, and that can cause problems in games that take both input from the front screen and the back screen. I don't like that. It has been an interference in my gameplay. It has a built-in MP3 player, and sometimes it can play those MP3s imported onto the system over certain games. Unfortunately, it has worse battery life as an MP3 player than say, an iPod does. Your child is just going to find that there isn't a lot that they can do with this that they couldn't do with, say, the old PSP unit, which is dirt cheap, by the way, with a massive library. And PSP did actually have some good titles. The only major positive I can give is this still has the old PSN store on it. Anybody on my last channel who knows about the PSN app that's on the PS3 knows how frustrating and just absolutely ludicrously stupid the app is. Beyond that, migrating cards for the different accounts is an absolute pain. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it is a lot of things you have to do. And if you miss a step, you can screw your card up. And considering that the one card that I would recommend, the 32 gigabyte card, is an additional $100 on top of the $300 or $350 that you already paid for the system itself. And considering that a lot of the games are either watered down or they're okay, but nothing that's extremely big, nothing that is a must-own app for the system. Honestly, I cannot say enough about how disappointed I am in this. And considering how Sony has handled this system, I'm not going to say that it's going to go down in flames, but I can't see this system being one that's going to do very much. Heck, 3DS, for all my grievances, or the small grievances I have with 3DS, actually works very much as advertised, and I'm very satisfied with the library on the 3DS. I tend to play my 3DS more than I play my Vita. Heck, I tend to play my PSP more than I tend to play my Vita. And the fact that the touchscreens oftentimes have issues with delayed reactions. Heck, iPod is much more accurate at times in terms of touch controls than the actual Vita tends to be. And if it needs to use both at once, like the app Forbisher says, it's an exercise in frustration. And Sony has done everything with this system to make me not want to keep it vanilla. They've treated me as a paying customer a lot like a criminal. And if they're going to treat me like one, then why not? What am I benefiting from giving them my money? I gave you almost a year, Sony. And I know some people will say, "Oh, you're bailing out way too soon. You don't know what you're talking about." I've been gaming since Atari. I've played a lot of systems that most of you have only seen retro gaming channels do reviews of. I own a 360, a PS3, and at some point I hope maybe to own a Wii U so I can enjoy the Wii library that I did enjoy again. I've already got a GameCube, so I don't need the backwards compatibility that the Wii had. And watching a lot of playthroughs of the Wii U, as much as I'm disgusted with some of the business practices, it's hard for me to have a reason why, at least in terms of something that myself, my family, and my growing family, in fact, could enjoy. Whereas this, it's very limited. I know because my son, I gave him my 4 gig stick. Switching between the 32 gig stick, which has my profile on it, to the 4 gig stick that has his profile on it, because mainly he was into it for Big Planet, and even that really didn't keep him. I'm just done with you, Sony. I hate to say this. I don't care about your PlayStation 4. I'm done with this. I'm going to get whatever money I can out of this purchase, and I'm going to put it towards something that I know I will actually enjoy from a company that's not going to treat me like I'm a common criminal or a common thief. Because you know what's so funny? What's so darned funny about this entire thing? For all their work to make this system unhackable so that piracy wouldn't be a major issue, so that developers would want to develop for this system. Because of issues like the proprietary memory issue, developers right now do not want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. And when Sony is already bleeding money amongst others in the gaming industry, this is not something they can afford to have to deal with. It's just not worth it, in my opinion, anymore. And I'm sorry if that pisses you Sony fanboys off. I'm sorry if that pisses you PS Vita fanboys off. I'm tired of getting kicked in the balls, so to speak, by companies that pretend like they're my friend. They're my friend so long as I'm constantly reaching for my wallet to give them money. The moment I stop is the moment they don't care about me anymore. Well, guess what, Sony? I no longer care about you. I have buyer's remorse, and I'm going to fix that, and I'm going to do something better with that money. So, buy PS Vita, buy Sony. I wish I could say it's been fun, but no.